I wish I was this age, like in 1995. I feel like I would have thrived.
Everyone. This is a bonus episode of Overanalyzed because it is March. It is early March 2026. And things in the United States look very differently than they did in February 2026. And we just wanted to come on here and talk about it because, sometimes you just want to enjoy the good stuff. Sometimes misery loves company. And then sometimes you just really want to talk about fun, good stuff. And that's why we are here today to chat about and to enjoy and to bring you a little bit of fun, a little bit of silly, a little bit of just us being us. And so, Dom, I do want to say, we just released our 45th podcast episode of Overanalyzed.
That's right.
Season 3, 45 episodes. How do you feel? And if you can remember what it felt like before we recorded or when we recorded in September 2025, what's different?
Yeah. Well, I've loved every part of it. I would say I was nervous because I'm like, well, I have never been on a podcast, but you have because you interview people on your own podcast, your other podcast. I have never. Not only have I not interviewed or had a guest on, I didn't even know what the process was of talking to somebody on the same feed or recording. So I wasn't sure, and because here's the thing: when I started my podcast, one thing that I have had in reflection, it's really hard to take up time on a solo podcast when you don't have a co-host or you don't have a guest. I had my own podcast, still working on revamping it. So if anyone knows of that project, I ended season 1 back in October, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a few weeks off. And now it's been several months. And I listening to a Sirius XM show that I sometimes listen to. It's from a former housewife that I just love. And she is on, she co-hosts a show that's on Sirius XM, and I'm blanking on the name right now, but pop culture related, Housewives and some other reality shows, and they talk about it. They sometimes have guests and do separate interviews, all that kind of stuff. But she had a show prior to that. I also used to listen to that. It was just her. And one thing she was talking about, and she was also doing a reflection too in this particular episode on the newer show, and she acknowledged, she's like, I have the gift of gab, but damn, it's really hard to take up time. You put a microphone in front of your face and you have no other person to bounce off of. That's really hard. So I'm glad I did that because now I have that knowledge. But it's funny if even learning how to talk to myself, it made me nervous of how do I take up space now with somebody, because I'm so used to doing it by myself. And I was just starting to get comfortable with that. And I'm like, oh my God, now I have to let my friend talk. And you think it's easy because when we have conversations alone, a lot of people probably think that with their friends, right? Let's start a podcast because we can't shut up and we're funny. And then you put microphones in front of them and they might go, it's just a different vibe. And luckily we didn't have that with us because we were literally been the same off mic that we are on. And it's been so much fun. I mean, I love talking about this stuff, and I joke to some of my friends. I'm like, well, I think I have definitely, not manipulated, that's not the right word, but I definitely, what's the right word? I was like, I don't want to say I conned her into this, but I'm like, I got her on the real, I was like, I think she really likes Housewives. And I converted, that's the word I'm looking for, to you be a Housewives fan. And so, I don't know, I feel a little pride in that. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, yes, see, I can get people to like Housewives.
Yes, I would say we're definitely the same. There are some changes though, because I do have another show, and on that show I interview people, but I pride myself on speaking maybe 5% on that show. It is truly the platform for them to talk and talk and talk. And I'm kind of like, so why'd you do that? And then they talk, right? And so being with you is very different, and it's a lot of fun. But we both get to be like, well, what do you think about that? And what do you think about that? And we have to listen to each other, but then we have to respond. So we can't just wait to say our parts.
Yeah.
And then I was telling someone this the other day. I was like, it's different to have a co-host because unlike our regular conversations, you and I in the room together, we will talk for 3 hours, but we're all over each other, and we've jumped here and there and there, and we've ordered some food and we're doing this. And that's the part that we don't do because we're like, all right, it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
So you guys, we still do like a debrief gab session before we record
Always.
between episodes because we still have to. We're like, okay, I respected you in the recording. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
But I need that part, and it allows me the freedom to be like that. Allows me to come here and be like, okay, now let me give them some fun, engaging stuff that they can follow. And then go back to, as my husband closes the door upstairs, the basement door, he's like, I can hear you still. So we said we were going to do this. I was like, Dom's my guy. Let's go. I don't think I knew it was going to be this much fun though. Like, okay. I knew I was going to commit to it. And then of course I love to come to your apartment and we had that fun for the first couple months. But I just don't think, I was like, I'll do it for Dom. And then I'm slowly like, but wait a minute, Kyle, but what happened with you and Lisa in the last season? What did I miss? Hold on, wait. So now, like, and I've said this before, I was judging the housewives. And I probably was judging podcasters that had co-hosts. I was like, I could do that. That's why podcasts have their own little lanes. You have your monologue shows that are just one person. You have a co-host. You have an interview style. Because I'm not the co-host with those guests. I am, just sharing their story. Yeah. So.
I agree. I personally knew, I'm like, okay, this is going to be so much fun. And I probably exceeded my expectations of how fun it's been. Because I think for me, obviously we used to work together. We say this almost in every other episode that at our last job. And I had like moments where I would talk. I knew the people who watched and we would have like a 5-minute session. Like, okay, do you like this? What happened in this? Did you like that? Did you agree with this? Oh my God, you like who? Like we would do that whole thing and then it dies down. Other than that, I don't have any of my like inner circle of friends. No one cares as much as one of my friends does. So I knew, I was like, okay, this is gonna be so much fun just to talk about pop culture, whatever the thing is. And I think it's really cool. It's an example of like how creativity changes and evolves. And I've really enjoyed just the shift that we've made, and it's been natural to a certain extent. It wasn't so much like, okay, this is a business and we got to do this. This is not working. What's hard? It's like we were always like feeling it out. And we kind of like just followed our guts and vibes of what works, what doesn't. And we played around with certain things. And we're on, exactly, which I think is a big part. It's being honest.
Something will happen and I'll be like, I remember in December, I decided I was going to start Toastmasters and get better with public speaking. And I was like, shit, it's at 7 a.m. on Thursdays and I record with Dom on Wednesdays and then I'm up all night editing. I was like, how am I going to do this? And you're on the other side, like, how do I tell her I just got a new job and I can't record on Wednesdays?
I did. I really did think that.
You're like, all right, so what do you think about recording on the weekend? I'm like, why? Oh my God, because I didn't want to. So that part helps. It's not like, how dare you change the plan? It's like, oh, even that was in alignment. It was like, oh, okay, great. So
you bring up a good point though too. I think that goes with like, I think we've always had this mindset, even like when we used to work together at a physical office. You definitely have said some version of this to me just in life. Like, we'll figure it out. Well, you just figure it out. And I think I bounce off of people so well that have that same mentality of like two people who are working together or doing a project together, whatever the case might be. We both have that mindset of like, we will figure it out. You truly will figure it out. If you have that one person that's like, whatever, like that's not willing to be flexible at all or not, have any kind of give or take or compromise, my personal opinion and experience, that turns into a disaster. But we both have that mindset. Like, yeah, we'll just figure it out. And obviously we've been flexible with like days. I might tell you I'm sick or I have furniture coming and things unexpectedly happen. And we figure it out. We always do. Yeah.
Yes.
My Hollister hat. I bought this today too. When I was like, you know where I went today? This is so random. This is when I went to feel nostalgic. I walked around Tuttle Mall.
Tuttle?
I literally walk around the whole mall. It has a 90% vacancy rate. And I walk around and I look. This is my retail brain. I can tell by the storefront. I can like that was a Gap. There's Abercrombie. There's Victoria. I haven't done that in a while. That used to be one of my like thing that I would do to like calm my nerves or something like that. I did a very thoughtless thing. I was kind of in the area, but I did go like out of my way to a certain extent. Like, I'm gonna go to the mall.
Yeah.
But Hollister still exists there, which is so random to me. So I bought a hoodie and this hat because they were both on clearance. I paid literally $22 for the both of them.
I did not know it was open at all. So for it to have a 90% vacancy,
Macy's,
good for them for still
JCPenney.
existing. Were
I
you
mean,
there
it's
with the
weird.
other 70-year-olds that were just there for like their laps?
I'll tell you, that's probably the most random thing is who is coming here? Because clearly it's a very specific. It's either like a mall walker or you're coming for an exact store because you know that it still exists. It's like Macy's, JCPenney, Hollister, Finish Line.
But that makes me mad though, because my first job out of high school was at Wilson's Leather at Northland Mall. And then I remember when Easton opened and everyone at Northland was terrified because they were going to take all of the jobs. And now it's like a state of Ohio federal building now, the old mall. But even with, we love to shop online, but there is nothing like going to a mall. Like it is
I agree.
really fun to just go to a mall, walk around, have your pretzel, right? Wait to see somebody. I like that still exists even at Easton, but I hope that they don't completely go away. I mean, you and I know each other from retail, so we are retail people, but
they won't. I remember when I still worked at Apple at Easton. This was like 2016, 17, 18, something around there. And obviously Apple, especially during that time, was very innovative in terms of its stores. And they really wanted them to be like a meeting place for people, not just a retail store. So they often had like trees inside and like very cohesive benches to sit down that would help spark conversation with a stranger, not just like, again, like a normal retail experience where you come in, buy something, maybe, and then just leave. They really wanted it to be like a community-centered vibe as well. And the reason why they said that, I remember it, they said, like malls, they're going away. However, shopping centers aren't, because shopping centers give you experiences. You can buy anything online, like you just said. Malls, they're not that as exciting anymore. But something like Easton, where you can live there, shop there, eat there, work there, either in store or those offices, you have them all over. It's a city, like within like a city vibe. And there's things to do. It's not just stores. You have like Legoland, and you have like attractions and experiences that it makes it more worthwhile. Ever since like hearing about that, I was like, that's really the future, I think, of shopping.
Yeah.
But I would also add too, though, and obviously we didn't anticipate this, but that whole, and I feel like I talk about it all the time, it's that whole like wanting nostalgia feeling that people keep having more than ever. Even people who are much younger that don't even know what were the 90s like, but for some reason they want everything from the 90s. And I think it comes back to like that human connection piece, that people are wanting to think simpler again. And thinking simpler does not necessarily mean advanced technology that thinks for you. It just means I don't want to be overwhelmed in my brain. And I guess something like a mall can be overwhelming. Crowds of people, a million stores, yes. But I think it's more like the spirit of what it represents. And I think that's what gets people. So I'd be curious if not that malls will make a comeback, obviously, but we had too many of them. I think that was the problem. We had way too many of them. And I remember learning this like in a marketing course. I can't remember, there's like a term for it. But you think of like the 80s and 90s, like the real like mall boom. Well, I guess the mall boom started before that, but like the retail boom, where if you opened a store, marketing was limited to like print. You didn't have social media marketing, all that kind of stuff. So a form of marketing was opening tons of stores. So you think of like Claire's and like those staple mall stores like GNC and all that.
Journeys.
Journeys. You opened so many stores across the country in malls because you didn't have to worry about technology taking up any of that, like online shopping. But even you think of marketing, that was a form of marketing, was just opening a plethora of stores. And now, state of the world, it's like, well, you actually don't need to open a store at every single shopping center across the country because that's not sustainable. So that's, I learned that, and I was like, that's a really interesting point of view of like, you open stores, that's how you got your name out there. You're like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
I have one of those too.
I have been crying, like literally crying on social media, watching all these actors and actresses be like, hey mom, what were you like in the 90s? I just saw one about Julia Roberts, and then it was all these clips of her from like Pretty Woman and like Mystic Pizza. And you're just
I love that movie.
And for me as a fan, because Kevin Bacon did one, Charlotte York did one. I love them now. I will still watch stuff with them now. And I'm like, were they beautiful? Of course. But I just remember the feeling of just seeing them when you were like closer to that age with them too. And you're just like I would love for Britney Spears to do one. I would love for Beyonce to do one because I still see them that way. Like you're always going to be bootylicious to me. Like, but to see you that way, it's like you are different.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
That's
I
what
am
I
too,
mean.
but
Yeah.
still we get to celebrate it. Like,
it's so funny because I've had it for quite some time. Like I was really emotionally affected by like not. It's going to sound silly, but not being able to like time travel back to the 90s. We will never know that thought process and our thinking process ever again of like, again, true human connection. When you wanted to hang out with someone, you actually had to make an effort. You would have to call them or go to their house to see them. There was no like, let me just send a text. Let me just I'll send them to voicemail. It was like if you wanted to see someone, it's because you actually really wanted to. People were meeting in cafes and delis, and it was just a simpler thought process of how to live life. And I'm taking obviously like political stuff out, human rights stuff, like taking all of that aside, and just thinking of like what a simpler time it was just to like when you wanted to do something, you really wanted to do it. Whether it was just like kids playing outside, like actually playing outside, or I wish I was this age, like in 1995. I feel like I would have thrived. I think I would have been so happy. You could afford things a lot easier. You could save money. So I think it's a very, very real thing that when I started hearing more of this online and seeing it, like on TikTok and stuff, like even like people I work with that are younger than I am talking about it. But like, I know this is like a real conversation that's gaining real traction that people, and I think what it is, I think it's a mindset of like how we just communicated with one another, how we treated one another, how we thought about things, and how we're gonna do this and make a plan and buy this house or what job and my friends and family. Like it was just a much simpler life, and then it quickly just escalated because of technology and just that, and then just I don't know. I mean. I feel like that really is kind of the crux of like a lot of our problems that we're experiencing. I think it falls under that whole umbrella, whether it's like cell phones, computers, social media.
No, I think it's true. I put up a video today about my bird feeder because today it was sunny, but it was still cold. And, I don't care anything about like the mess in the backyard, right? Like if a cardinal will stay for 3 minutes cracking open the sunflower seed, I'm not going to give him shelled sunflower seeds because I want him to stay and I want to look at him and I want to see this. And he's like, there has to be something that can make that easier. But that's the thing with technology. I don't need a robotic lawnmower that comes and cleans up the seeds. Right. Okay, maybe 2 or 3 of them stay and then we have sunflowers in the backyard, right? They get buried and they turn into the plants. But like, if the technology is not actually something that you're asking for, it's just something that eliminates any burden whatsoever, I don't want it. And I'm like, I think that's kind of how we got here. So we don't have to spend time making our own clothes. We don't have to spend time making our own food. We don't have to. But what are we doing with the save time? Scrolling. So it's like, what was the trade-off for? Like, I find myself manually taking email apps off of my phone because I don't want my phone to be a computer. I have a computer for that. But like, I have the luxury to split those two because I am 41 years old, right? And so a lot of the technology, it definitely changed things. But the pandemic changed things too. My daughter is 5. Her favorite thing in the world is to go to the grocery store because when she was born, my husband would go and buy groceries and bring them home. Or then like we got a little bit of money and then we could do like food delivery. She is like, Mom, there's a pile of oranges over there, like just sitting. Like she's fascinated because she did not have to go to the grocery store. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, baby. You were born in a pandemic when we were not going outside. We lost so much from all of these experiences and it's going to take decades for us to regain it and to even think that is valuable. So like for the life of this podcast, you have been talking about your nostalgia for the 90s and I appreciate it because for one, that's how we connected with always quoting Sex and the City to each other. But then also people do want that and the world is very, very different. And I think it'd be sad for us to act like it's not because it is extremely different. And it's almost like stuff is moving so fast now. It feels like we're going to just spin out of orbit because it's just going so wild.
I could argue we already have spun out of orbit, but I think the question that you said at the beginning of what you're saying, I think, is kind of I'm all for like efficient processes. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, okay, we can always be doing something better, wiser, of course. However, when it comes to certain things and asking, and the first question always being, isn't there an easier way to do that or a faster way to do that? It's like, that's not the point. I actually want, like, that's why I write down everything. I love notebooks and post-its, and I write things down because, one, I connect with it, two, in my brain, but I'm like, no, I don't want to type it on a computer because I feel like that's taking away from something. So I need to, that's my way of, like, old school, if you want to say, doing something. It's like, no, I'm not going to lose that because it still has me connected to something that I don't think needs to necessarily be automated. Like, I don't need to always do that. I utilize it sometimes for certain things. I know when to use it, when to not. But I think asking that question, being the first question of like, isn't there an easier way to do this? I'm like, that's not the point. I actually enjoy doing it this way. And that's, I think that should be the first question. By doing it this way, does it make me happy? Okay, great. Then who cares?
Yeah, no, it's true. So I was thinking about you. I was going to invite you to be on my YouTube channel.
Oh.
Because I just recorded the book review to Game Changer.
Oh,
the
I love
first
that.
book, yes, in the I'm calling it the Heated Rivalry series because that's the title of the TV spinoff. So I'm about to start reading Heated Rivalry tomorrow.
I love that. Anyone that I find that has, which it's harder to find people who have not watched the show. It's a little more difficult to find people who are reading the book. So I just started book 4 of the series.
Okay.
And I'm already obsessed with it. Like, I keep thinking, like, it's the last book 3 wasn't my favorite, though. Someone messaged me because I've been posting my Instagram story when I finish one of the books. And it's so random. I get random messages from just different people who have, you follow each other, but I don't know them at all. And they're like, oh my God, this one's my favorite, this and that, we have to talk about it. I'm like, okay. And so, yeah, book 3 I did not care for as much. It's lovely, don't get me wrong. Because I find Rachel Reid, the author, I just think she's a brilliant writer, and I love how those are the first 2 books. Once you start getting the ones that aren't so much about the main guys, that I read book 4, and I'm reading the name, I'm like, that sounds so familiar, and I'm like, damn, they dropped an Easter egg in book 1, and I knew that name. It's nothing major in terms of they didn't have an arc, but you knew what role that they played because they mentioned them, and I'm like, this person, now this whole book's about that. Like, she does such a brilliant job, and so I love things like that, where it's like, even like I think about a television series or something, or anything that has like, whether it's like a second part or a trilogy or anything after that. I love things that are so cohesively combined. Where if you have a series and you're like, okay, I'm going to mention this name, and you already, if you're doing that, that means to some degree, at least I like to think, you already have a plan possibly for that character for such and such a book at some point. Like, it's so fascinating to me, like that whole creative process. So up until, well, I'll see after this. Game Changer it's still my favorite book as it stands, part of the series. But this 4th book, it could be my favorite. I don't know. Cause every time I read, I'm like so excited to pick it up and like read whatever chapter I'm on. So yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Oh my gosh,
it's so good. I really, really like it. So I do notice that Kip and Scott are talking, and they mention Ilya, who I know is one of the characters, but I know that is a spoiler from the show. So I know that he will be in the second books. But I was just reading an article in the New Yorker. The cover art is like 2 male Barbies, like people are trying to make them kiss.
Cartoony,
Yes. And they were just like, heterosexual women and homosexual women are just obsessed with these books because
literally.
She kind of pinpoints, and I was like, I think that might be true. It's the yearning. So much. They say a couple things. First of all, female readers are typically the biggest people that read romance genres, period. But then the yearning, lately it's just been like sex.
Yeah.
But like the yearning is still in these books. And it's just like, oh, he looked at me, and oh, I hope I see him, and I wore my favorite shirt so that he comes in. And you're just like, I missed that part of flirting. You're just like, oh, wow, it's been so long for that part.
Yeah. I love that you said that.
Good.
I love that you said that word yearning, because that's exactly, like, just watching the show, Heated Rivalry, when it came to Scott and Kip, I was just like, okay.
Wait, they're in Heated Rivalry? The first series?
They're in episode, hold on, 3 and 5. Well, 5 is a big.
Oh, I love that.
Episode 3 is all of them. is Skip and or Skip. Oh my God! Oh, I just created a name for that. Is Kip and Scott. It's the majority of that book, but shortened into one episode. They do a really good job. Obviously, I watched the show first, but they did a really good job of keeping all the big points of the book. The whole thing after the book of like after he comes out, the nightclub scene at the very end that's not played on the show, but you do realize it's. I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers of the show, but I'll tell you this: the books are brilliant. The writer, I can't remember. I'm forgetting his name. He really wanted to focus on making sure to do the book its justice and following that format. And he did say, as he's writing season 2, he's continuing that on, which makes me very curious because the third book has nothing to do with any of the 4 guys. There are certain parts where names are mentioned, but it's like they're playing a hockey game or something. It's not like they're pivotal. Book 4 does bring Scott and Kip a lot into it so far. Not so much about their character development, but like in the book, they're getting married. So I'll just put it that way, which they kind of talked about the interview, so I hope that's not too big of a spoiler.
That was a huge spoiler, but it was a good one.
Okay. Well, they're getting married.
Kip. Oh my gosh, I can picture his family in that Brooklyn brownstone, and like I hope the casting was good.
Well, here's the thing. That's why you have to watch the show, and I know it's gonna break your rule.
But can't until
you have to.
I refuse.
Well, you are because you said you watch Real Housewives of Rhode Island, so
that's your one exception.
And I'm telling you, here's the thing. I don't know. I don't have a clear reason of the why to give to you. I will say there's something about it that's different because it's not the first TV show that's made from a book adaptation. So it's not like it's the first, but there's something about it. It feels very like movie-like to me. I don't know why. It's 6 episodes. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know if there will be a season 3. There could be, I suppose. Yeah, there must be because she's writing the 7th book right now that's about Shane and Ilya. So perhaps. The reason why I say that is because that's my point of reference visually. And there's a character that's in the book that you're reading that is mentioned enough. And there's
is it the best friend?
No, it's.
I would love for her to have her own book. She's so funny.
There's a pivotal moment in the book that's not played in the show.
Okay.
It's pretty it's large enough.
I gotcha.
However, reading the 4th book, one of the main characters is in Game Changer.
Okay.
And that's when I was like this. Are you? Because I was like,
wait. Is it the player? The other hockey player for Scott? Damn it.
Okay, well,
don't tell me then.
Yes,
maybe.
Don't
tell me. Maybe.
I didn't think about that. You know both the 2 characters, because you read the first book. The 2 characters that book 4 is about, you already know them. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
And you know them. And one of them, if I told you a detail, I mean, it's not giving anything away. I'll tell you the one character because it's not giving anything away. Do you remember the bartender Kyle? That Kip,
yes.
He's obsessed with Kip, and they kissed, and then Kip was like, so that he's the gay guy in book 4. That's the openly gay one. Whoever the love story that's gonna eventually happen, you've also met that hockey player. It's actually one of Scott's best friends.
Oh, I love this.
I know. I'm like, it's so good, isn't it?
It is really good, and I do like when stories have these kind of intertwined storylines. One of my favorite authors, by the time I got up the nerve to want to go see them live, I found out that they had passed away the year before. I was like, no. But he has about 47 books. I own every single one of them, even the comic book, and they're all upstairs. Eric Jerome Dickey.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Yes, he's from California, and he writes about Black American romance. And so he has this series of assassin spy books, and you read it, and you're just like, wait. And so you're reading this book in 2018, like, oh, that's their son. I remember when and the kid was in one of his first books from 1991. I almost would be like, did he go back and read all his old stuff and then figure out how to add them in? Or did he have this huge, gigantic, family tree of how to fit people in? It's fascinating.
Maybe. It is fascinating to me how they do that.
So
like writers.
That.
Yeah.
Yes, hearing you talk is making me think about, I'm going to have those same butterflies of I know that name.
I did. Book 3, I didn't have it so much. It was you know obviously it's a hockey series, so me saying hockey player is not giving it away. But the gay hockey player in book 3, you also already no, you have not met him. You meet him in book 2, but again, not prominent enough until you have that moment. You realize, hold on, wait, why does this sound? And that's what I had in book 3. I'm like,
Okay.
that sounds familiar. And you're like, oh my god. Book 4, though, that's when I really had this like, I know who Kyle is. Yeah, that's the other bartender.
Okay, but
at the bar.
wait. The guy that Scott cannot stand, who's on his team.
It's not him.
Does he get his own book? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, book 7 is being written, and that's about Shane and Ilya. The Long Game is the 6th book, and that's also about Shane and Ilya. So the book 5 is the only other book that's not about them. I read the back of the book, but I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
No, I went to 4 different bookstores because I remember after I watched Heated Rivalry, I was like, I need to read these books. And you know me, I don't read fiction books. I read nonfiction, biographies, history. I've been wanting to. So I'm like, this is my perfect entry point. I try to buy local always. And so I went to my favorite local bookstore. I had the 2 that they had. Of course, I'm buying it during the craze of all this. Right. And then after that, I would go to Barnes. I went to like 2 or 3 different Barnes and Nobles to get the set. And every time I did, it never failed. Whoever the cashier was like, you're probably about the 500th person I sold this book to today. So
I love that.
And whoever the hockey player is, I have no idea who that is. So
okay, what's the name?
Role model.
Okay.
This just hit. The hits just keep on coming. Troy Barrett, traded to the worst team in the league, wouldn't be bad enough, but coming on the heels of a messy breakup and a recent scandal. Maybe he does. I'll chat GPT it later. They're so good. She's such a great writer, which makes me think it's funny because obviously if you read the first book, I had so many moments where I have a very vulgar mouth. But I keep giggling. I'm like, oh my god, this is so naughty. Like you think everyone thinks the show is salacious. It is because you see asses. You don't see anything in the front. This lady writing some of these things, I'm just like, even I'm blushing sometimes. I'm like, oh my god, that is so. And it doesn't stop. Book 3 is a lot less of it, and it makes sense when you read it. You understand why, I suppose. Ish. I'm hoping book 4 gets right back. I think it will. It sounds like it will.
I love it. And you and I have talked about it briefly, but like the writing is not from like an exploitative, like
not at all.
I want to be a
so
fly on the wall observing. Yeah. It's just like 2 people that are in love and that are attracted to each other and just want to be with each other. And you're just like, I feel that. And I like that you can feel that regardless of who the 100%. Characters are. You're just like, yes, I feel it reading the book.
And going back to the word that you said, you used the word yearning for the first book. In their whole relationship, like I said, when I was watching in the show, there's a yearning that they have for each other. The reason why I say that you have to watch it simply is because towards the end, when he like kisses him at the ice rink, in front of after he wins the Stanley Cup, that scene, I've watched so many clips of it playing in sports bar. It makes you cry, and that's the only reason. I think that's why. It's because it has moments where it feels more cinematic than like a TV show.
Okay.
Because watching that scene, I'm telling you, it just and how it because here's the thing: you're watching that and how it kind of combines with Shane and Ilya's story. Because that episode happens in episode 5, but it's only towards the end. So the whole episode 5 is not all about Scott and Kip. It's literally the last like 10 minutes. But but as that scene's happening, it's not giving too much away either because you already know that he wins the Stanley Cup. Kip's in the audience. What you don't know, it's because in the show it wasn't clear. Because in my mind I'm thinking, oh my god, so Kip just randomly went to watch him even though they're not together. In the book, you kind of learn it was somewhat planned and like he knew. You didn't know he was going to kiss him. But as that's happening, Shane and Ilya are watching in 2 separate places. They're watching that on TV. It's just like, that's why there's something very powerful about the show that brings it to, I feel like after you read the second book, Heated Rivalry, watching it they did a really good job of being cohesive, of writing the show and the author. Like because I know like obviously you read a lot of books. And so sometimes like when they do movie adaptations of a book, it doesn't mean it always is going to be good. Oftentimes it's bad.
Yeah.
I think she was heavily involved in the making of the show, and they kept really making sure to like they stay true to her word. It's brilliant, both the books and the TV show.
But here's the thing: this is the part with my rule, especially when it's a show that's adapted from a book.
Mm-hmm.
Now the odds are pretty good it'll make it at least 4 seasons, especially if they're mixing up books 1 and 2 are in season 1. You love the show, and then you read the books, and the books are just as good, and then you can't get that feeling anymore unless you read the book again because you've already experienced it on the screen. That's why I want to sit down and just like binge all 4 seasons at once. I don't want to, like, I just started watching The Bear in season 4 to get through the whole thing, and now I find out season 5 is the end, and it's like, okay, now I kind of want to see how they wrap it up, but like you're hanging on the edge of your seat, and then they're like, canceled, low viewership. You're just like,
I get, here's the thing, and I hear that. You've always said that to me too. Like when I discovered your little rule, I'm like, you don't watch what? Like that's crazy. I think with this specifically, because I know it's going to sound silly, and obviously, again, they're not the first people to add a book into something visual, right? However, it's like, well, you know what's going to happen to some extent. It feels like a limited series / movie instead of a show. And I feel like you can, because I binged all 6 episodes in one night. I watched the whole thing because I couldn't stop. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, and that's why I wanted to read the books. I'm like, no, now I have to read the books. And then I went to 8 bajillion bookstores to get the whole complete series. That yearning that you say, you feel it. I hear that from just about anyone that I talk to about it, and on the internet you see it because people, like I said, watching it in like sports bars, like straight guys with their watch. Like there's something different that this is tapped into. That it
do you
makes
want me
it
to
so much
embrace
worth
it in the moment while everybody else is? Okay.
I think because you just feel something different. It's not just like, okay, they made a movie, oh my god, that was good. There's something, that emotion that you already feel from book, you actually visually feel it too. And I think that's what I almost wish I read the books. I didn't know. I wasn't going to watch the show. It became so much of a phenomenon, which I usually go, no, I'm good. I don't attach myself to those. I got equally as obsessed. Like I was actually really depressed when the show was over. I'm like, I missed them already. But I'm like, which is why I had to read the books, but like in a good way, just because they did so well.
That's so funny.
You have to watch it. Sorry, just think of it as a movie.
I don't watch movies, so that's easy.
Oh, shut up.
All right, you guys, this was fun.
What a twist and turn this was.
But it was needed. It was much, much needed because,
I don't know. Maybe our next project is talking about books, but in podcast form.
Look, why not?
I don't know. I'm getting on the... Do you like romance books? Is that like...
I do.
Do you enjoy them?
Well, it's not like a go-to. Lately I've been really into like thrillers because I don't know. I really like surprises. So I like to be reading a story and then you're just like, what? So, but in the last 3 years, because I started a business 4 years ago, I've been obsessed with like nonfiction books. That was actually another thing that you and I connected on because I was like, oh wait, somebody has already failed? Let me read about what they did. So I've pretty much...
Yeah.
I've had my library card from the Columbus Metropolitan Library since 1987, since I was 3.
Okay.
So I would say for 32 years, I only read fiction. And then, like, seriously, the last 3 years, I've been doing nonfiction. So, like, yeah, we can talk about books. We sure can. And I feel so vulnerable. I'll probably take that part out because you don't need to know. 1987.
Why not? Who cares?
Look, the world's ending.
No, it's not. It is not ending.
I know. True. Good point. But you guys, thanks for overanalyzing everything with us. And thanks for hanging out. 3 seasons, 45 episodes. And we are excited to keep sharing more.
That's right.
All right. Thank you. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.